Hello once again. I'd like to talk to you about prayer today. And the reason I want to talk to you about it is that it can quite often be off-putting when we begin trying to approach God and we feel that He isn't answering our prayer. The difficulty that we encounter is that we can give time to prayer, we go to God and ask Him for certain things in prayer, and when we don't get them, we start to wonder whether God is really there, why it is that He doesn't give us what we ask for. And here there are a number of considerations to bear in mind when you think about your prayer. You see, very often we think that if we go asking God for something, the response will be rather Father Christmas-like, and He'll give us exactly what we want, and we'll be very happy. And so when we ask Him for these things, and the response is not like that, we can be left a bit disillusioned and feel, well, I asked God and He didn't give it to me. And sometimes even something that we really feel very deeply we would like, we ask Him for in prayer, and we find we don't get it. And there, St. James tells us in his letter about when you pray and don't get what you ask for, it is because you ask Him for the wrong thing. Well, this is one facet of it. And obviously, what happens is sometimes we will ask God for things in our ignorance of the bigger picture that are not good for us. And as any good parent knows, when a child asks you for something that is not good for them, you have to say no. And people are not very good at getting the no reply from God when they ask Him for something. And they may ask Him intensely and carry on begging Him for some time and yet continue to get this response, no. You see, it's a bit like a parent again with a child who doesn't want to go to school. The child may perform, they may make a big scene, they may get very upset, they may really feel that they do not want to go to school. But the parent still can't say, oh, well, okay, don't go to school then, because the parent knows that they need that schooling for their future life. And so it is with God. If we ask Him for something that's not good for us, He obviously can't say yes, knowing that it won't be for our good. But then again, you might pray for something that you know to be good, and God doesn't give you what you're expecting. Let's say, for example, that you make a prayer to God saying, please increase my faith. Now, surely that is something that's good for you. If you have an increase in faith, it can undoubtedly be for your good and for your benefit. And so why you don't feel this immediate inflow of a huge amount of grace and this great faith coming strongly into your life can be a bit difficult to deal with. But in this case, you see, if we take our example of asking God for faith, we imagine that we'll feel full of faith straight afterwards. And yet what can happen quite often is that we can start to experience difficulties in our life. We can come across all sorts of stumbling blocks, and we can think to ourselves, well, I prayed for an increase in faith and my life seems to be getting more difficult. If we think about it, when we encounter this experience, what better way is there to increase your faith than for you to live through difficulties, than for you to encounter things that test your faith, and overcoming those things will give you a growth in faith that is a true growth, that will truly make your faith far more deep-rooted in you if you're prepared to push through those trials and difficulties and give your consent to believe in, for now, that God is looking out for your best because He loves you. God is doing what's best for you because He loves you. And so even though it may not be the way you choose to get what it is you're asking for, in this case an increase in faith, what you are getting is exactly what you need for that to come about. What we do need to bear in mind, because sometimes these trials, that actually do increase our faith can seem difficult to bear, we need to remember that we are told in the scriptures that God does not crush the reed or extinguish the wavering flame. And so he will never give you more than you can deal with. But that doesn't mean that what you have to deal with sometimes in order to achieve what you need it will not come with a certain amount of effort and a certain amount of hardship on your part. It's interesting that we find this a difficult concept to accept from God, and yet if I were a bit younger and if I went to a personal trainer and said I want to become a professional athlete of some kind or sportsman, I wouldn't expect him to just snap his fingers and say, there you go, and to have all the knowledge, all the skill, everything I need to become a successful sportsman or athlete. I would accept that there's going to be hardship, there's going to be a lot of hard work needs to go into it. There needs to be training, there needs to be hours and hours of exercise and various things to build up my capacity. And when that comes about, I will have really achieved something. And so it is in your spiritual life. If you go to God asking Him for something and He puts you through training so that you may become a person truly full of faith, it's not difficult to understand why sometimes that will involve a bit of hard work, a bit of dedication on your part to truly achieve what it is you want to achieve. And so I thought I would offer these thoughts on prayer to encourage you as you go along your growth, so that you would find that you'll have real growth in your life and you really will come close to God through your prayer by sticking to what you decide to do in your efforts to get there. There's a very lovely prayer, a very lovely psalm, and it is actually my favorite psalm that I would like to read for you. It makes up a very beautiful prayer. It's contained, I do have a book that I've put out that contains a lot of this material that I'm putting into these talks, and in my book, which I'll give you details about later, I conclude the book with this as a prayer, which I would like to use to conclude this talk with you. O Lord, you search me and you know me. You know my resting and my rising. You discern my purpose from afar. You mark when I walk or lie down. All my ways are open to you. Before ever a word is on my tongue, you know it, O Lord, through and through. Behind and before you besiege me, your hand ever laid upon me. Too wonderful for me, this knowledge, too high beyond my reach. Oh, where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your face? If I climb the heavens, you are there. If I lie in the grave, you are there. If I take the wings of dawn and dwell at the sea's furthest end, even there your hand would lead me, your right hand would hold me fast. If I say, let the darkness hide me, and the light around me be night, even darkness is not dark for you, and the night is as clear as the day. For it was you who created my being, knit me together in my mother's womb. I thank you for the wonder of my being, for the wonders of all your creation. Already you knew my soul. My body held no secret from you when I was being fashioned in secret and molded in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw all of my actions. They were all of them written in your book. Every one of my days was decreed before one of them came into being. To me, how mysterious your thoughts, the sum of them not to be numbered. If I count them, they are more than the sand. To finish, I must be eternal like you. O search me, God, and know my heart. O test me and know my thoughts. See that I follow not the wrong path, and lead me in the path of life eternal. Amen. So I hope this brief talk about prayer will be of great help to you and great encouragement on your path. And may God bless you.